All right, I'm going to start the recording on my end. You're on mute, Sarah.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Like Deb said, my name is Sarah Feldman, Program Specialist with the Swift County RDA. So on behalf of the RDA, I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Thanks, Deb, for joining us as well and giving us this little Zoom meeting. Before we get things going, I just want to take a quick moment to once again thank everyone for their participation with this meeting on the tour, or we're at a public compound meeting, or any kind of feedback or help you were a part of the process. We stopped at all 9 counties, cities of the county during our 3 days of the visit. And a special shout out to the cities of Appleton, Benson, and Kirkland, as they partnered with the Swift County for the financial contribution to sponsor that visit. So you're not here to see me. So therefore, it's all yours, Deb. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Let me get it all set up then. Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. If you have any comments, feel free to put them in the chat box. I will look at them after I'm done presenting, and you can keep yourself on mute. That's just fine. And we'll visit a little bit afterwards, I'm quite sure. Sorry, here we go. So these are the percentages of things across the county that people told me they wanted. And it matches pretty closely to each community. At the end of the presentation, I will put up on the screen each individual community, and Leanna and Sarah have access to all the comments and information. If you want to see that for your community, I'm sure they'll share it with you. And there'll be handouts, of course. So what I'd like you to do as we go through the presentation, listen for the idea that gets you excited, one that matches up with your big idea for your community. And that's the one to write down. And we're going to start with, oops, sorry, let's get to the right place. There we go, recreation. It's funny. Each community talked about recreation ideas and wanting more, fixing what they had, adding amenities to attract people. And I saw lots of cool things already in place, like the playground in this picture. And here's a little better list for you of some of the recreation ideas that you all had. So I'll talk about a couple right now, and then throughout the presentation, you'll hear more. So if you are interested in bringing more scouting opportunities to your community, reach out to Brenda, and Leanna has her contact information. The Murdoch House, well, who's interested in repairing and fixing the building? Get together over coffee and just begin the conversations. Be sure to reach out to the state historical folks and see what their ideas are. And of course, invite your city council folks to join in. Swift Falls is already on a path to getting things done with the idea of a rock dam, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that too. Some of you might recognize this, and it leads me to talk about creating an outdoor museum, and it could be anything. In Nebraska, there are old cars buried a quarter of the way into the ground, and they stand up tire to tire. You could have a rusted tractor graveyard. Think about what weather resistant or happily rusty artifacts would tell the story of your town. You could have in the county an outdoor museum trail. That could be a lot of fun. So ask those who've got junk cars in their yard or other junk if you could do something with them, and how would they like to be involved? Fat trail biking. That just means the tires are fat. So this is from exploreminnesota.com, and they've got some listings on where fat trail biking is really a thing. And yes, they do it in the wintertime. So you can go to exploreminnesota.com, or go visit. Douglas State Trail is one, Kiana County State Recreation, I may have pronounced that wrong. Those are just two places. And the cool thing about these trails, they don't have to be paved. It's a good way to take a small start and then invite the Fat Trail teams, and they're everywhere, to come visit and try them out. My friend Ben Weaver, the kid on the left, he's a Minnesota musician out of, I think St. Paul is where he's at, and he's a storyteller, and he also likes to ride fat trails. He's actually ridden in the wintertime in February from Canada to Mexico. He's got a great story. You can check out his work at benweaver.net. And he's currently working about a concept called the Edgelands, with stories of the land and water. But be sure to look at his previous projects too, and then steal ideas from him. And of course, invite him to come down to play at a concert and share some stories. He's a really great musician. I'm sure you'd love him. Here you go, Joanne. A quick search brought up these two funding sites for adult fitness equipment. And it's a great fit for many of your parks. And I think about, what if you did this county-wide? That's going to bring people from all over to check out your adult fitness equipment. And Joanne, these links will be at the end of the presentation, and you'll have access to the PDF of it, so you don't have to try to write them down now. And everybody else. Next up is housing. Nearly every town said they need more housing, and housing from low income all the way up to $500,000 kind of housing. So let's take a look at some of the ideas that are possible. So we know our housing market is low, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but what can we do to create more affordable housing? I want you to start thinking about prefab and tiny houses. This particular house is made in York, Nebraska by Champion Home Builders, and it's also movable. So you can decide if you want this in a permanent place, or it could be one of those houses that is able to move around. Spur, Texas is the first tiny house friendly town in the United States. There's 1,000 people in Spur and only 2,500 people in their entire county. They sold over 70 lots in 2 years. Now it's wood or metal framing, flush toilets connected to city utilities, and proper electricity. The foundation is reinforced with rebar that goes 6 inches below the ground down in Texas. That's their frost line. It's doable. It's always a good idea to talk about money just a little bit. Vermont pays $5,000 per family to move there to work remote. Now, that's really smart on their part, because over half of their people are over 55. So they're looking for more young people, and they've found a way to do that. This picture is actually in Akron, Iowa, just south of Akron, outside of Akron, called Lazy Age Campground. And this is Justin. In Akron, they actually sold, because they're all gone, city lots for $500, with the contingency that you have to build within 1 year, or they take the lot back and there's no refund. So if you think about that idea, I like that. That's a good way to get people in. Let's go out of the country just a little bit. The Latvian company called My Cabin is a startup, and they are very Scandinavian in design. Their houses vary in prices from $37,000 to $140,000. It's prefab. It's built in a Chicago location, and then of course shipped on a truck. The one you're looking at is 270 square feet and cost $88,000. Now, this would be a good place to start if you had an investment group, if you had some people get together and wanted to start building some housing. For $88,000, you could sell it for a bit more and just keep reinvesting in the next house. I'm all about using free information to get things done. And AARP has a wealth of info available right at your fingertips. So their ADUs are kind of a big deal these days. and they solve many of the problems. So grandma lives in the big old house alone, right? Why not create an ADU for her and then make her home available for sale to a new family in town? AARP also offers a great guide for making homes for the elderly a better fit, and not just the elderly, all of us. By 2030, 7 years, 1 in 5 people in the United States will be age 65 or older. Let's start taking care of our houses and make them a little bit better to live in. Sarah shared this with me. Jeremy Whipple started a group of investors called the Pipestone Development Company, LLC, and they are busy purchasing homes and businesses in Pipestone, Minnesota, down the road from you, and flipping them, and they're making great improvements in the community. So think about creating these investment groups. 10 people who invest $10,000 each can make a big difference, or 100 people at $100 each. So think about who in your community might fit into that investment in housing for your community. Why do owners keep their buildings empty? Many use it for storage. Perhaps it's a tax write-off. Then there are those with great ideas, but they ran out of money. So we're going to address some issues on why the buildings are still empty and perhaps some things you can do. This is one of the most common things we hear: absentee owners. They can be people that live locally or don't live in town, or maybe never lived in town. But we're going to talk about the local ones just for today. And they don't seem to ever do anything with their buildings, except maybe put junk in it, right? Well, first of all, when was the last time you actually talked to them? Sometimes we think we've talked to someone, but we've just driven by the building and got frustrated and the appearance made us nuts and said we were going to talk to them. Then life took over and we forgot. Call them up and invite them for coffee. It's really a small step, and it's meant to be an easy one. Find out what their dreams are, what they want to do with their building. How do they see their building fitting into the town's future? It's not an opportunity to judge. It's an opportunity to ask if there's something you can do to help them. And on this note, there are some buildings, I found out, you guys enlighten me, that are being used by businesses to store equipment. Now, I consider that a warehouse. I don't consider that an empty building. And I made the suggestion that what if you put up some simple signage, Peterson Warehouse, so that when people do visit your community, they're not looking at empty buildings. They're looking at businesses warehousing things. All right, so another problem for why buildings stay empty is we hear about the owners who are asking for rents that are just much too high. And this is often because the building owners from a larger city where these kind of rents make sense. Julie Worry from Rocky Ford, Colorado, 3,200 people in this town, found a great way to deal with this. She took rent negotiation authority from the building owners and she filled buildings. Now, she called the empty building owners, learned everything about the buildings, and found out what they wanted for rent. Then Julie offered to get the buildings rented, but only if they gave her the authority to decide what the rent would be. Only one building owner said yes. And he had one building with 4 storefronts, and he was an out-of-towner. Well, she happened to know someone who wanted to open a coffee shop, but a lot of plumbing work needed to be done. The owner wanted $450 per month for this site that needed plumbing work. Julie had the woman pay the owner $100 a month in rent and use the other $350 to pay against the plumbing until she had recovered her cost. And it took her 18 months to pay it off. And Julie ended up filling 4 storefronts that way. In her 10 years at Rocky Ford, she helped 17 mom and pop businesses open. Those are some good numbers in a small town. Sometimes you have to take a little stronger step. Centerville, South Dakota adopted a local vacant building ordinance that makes it costly to use those empty spaces for cheap storage. Fees are charged for rundown, dilapidated properties. And I don't think there's even 1,000 people in Centerville, and they're making huge strides with filling their empty buildings. Fayetteville, North Carolina, now that's bigger, but they targeted vacant commercial properties just downtown. And they started requiring inspection by the fire department every 6 months for the empty buildings. They're not safe often, and you don't want more fires in your communities, right? Callender, Iowa and Stanhope, Iowa, they've changed their city code and added a property maintenance code for both the exterior and interior of the buildings. Now, I like this because it sets forth a real detailed plan of action, a fine structure, and no nonsense. Do this or we will take the building from you attitude. Stanhope is very close to where I used to live, and I know those guys down there. And while it may take 3 or 4 years to go through the whole process, what else were you doing? Right? Now you have an opportunity to save a building in your community. Now, you may want to talk to your local economic development group or city council and create some targeted incentives to help meet part of the cost of compliance. So instead of only having incentives for recruiting businesses, consider incentives to address the specific cost of compliance. It's often very expensive, and if you could help with that, it'd be great. I have added a link from St. Joseph, Minnesota, that talks about the incentives they offer. These numbers are pretty shocking to me, and it's from 10 years ago, 2013. The potential lost revenue of an empty building was over $220,000 a year. I don't think people and owners realize this. Just talking about what you're losing is a good place to start. All right, let's begin by looking at some ways to start tiny businesses that don't require huge investments. You can lower the barrier to entry for your entrepreneurs. Let them test their ideas out and see if they work, and create more excitement around new businesses. You want more new tiny business ideas to get tried, so you can find the most promising ones and help them grow. Some of these are also ideas you can add to the events you are already doing. I want to give a shout out to Holloway. They have turned this empty lot into an orchard. What a great use of space. I can't wait to see it as these trees start to grow. And if you want more information, reach out to the folks over there. I'm sure they'll share with you how they got started on it. Our first few ideas are about expanding the places where your tiniest business startups can make sales and grow. So the Pueblo of Zuni, New Mexico had lots of people making traditional crafts and arts, but very few usable commercial buildings. To support their artists in growing their businesses, they created an outdoor market area in an empty lot and started a series of arts and crafts market events. These artists reach more customers together at these temporary events than they would have each on their own. Now, this is easy to start at any town. Take an empty lot, pick a weekend, and invite your local crafters, artists, and entrepreneurs to sell from pop-up booths. One of my favorite stories ever. This is Tynesta, Pennsylvania. Population 483 people. They lost an entire block of downtown buildings to a fire. And that's the picture up above. That lot sat empty for 10 years. They finally figured out no one business was coming to save their town. Their industrial development board decided to try something really different. Lots of tiny businesses. They put garden sheds on that empty block and added facades to match the downtown buildings. Yes, that bottom picture is simply garden sheds. And this block became the Tynesta Market Village. Now, each shed is home to a business that rents the space for about $50 a month. There's a bakery that expanded from another town, a winery that's on the outside of town. This is their second location. You'll find a woman who makes American Doll clothes. There's a guy that sells hand-tied flies for the people who fish. There's a barbecue place. It's really good. I've been there. An artist retail space and a candle shop, just to name a few. This market gives local entrepreneurs the chance to try out their business ideas and test the market. And they've also incubated new local businesses, like a pair of local pottery makers who were one of the first to rent a shed and have since outgrown it and moved into a larger garage in town. Jewel, Iowa copied this idea, and they have three garden sheds in one of their empty lots. And it's one of the best places to go visit for new products. Now, this is down where I'm living now, Pascagoula, Mississippi. They had a big old dirty lot in town. And after Hurricane Katrina, somebody had a great idea to use the leftover housing from FEMA to build out this anchor square. And they put a deck around it too. And you know, they just made this idea up. They also have green space too, and room for pop-ups and small vendors to try their ideas out. Our next idea is business inside a business. And this is simple to start. You walk into an existing retail business and ask if they'll dedicate one wall for another local business to decorate with something for sale. Now, this coffee shop in Southeast Minnesota, Watertown, I think is where it is, asked a local photographer who worked from their home to display their work on their empty wall. What a great promotion. Lots of photographers don't have storefronts. They work out of their home. So this is a great way to have them get some exposure, but also for the coffee shop. They are cross-pollinating their customers in this location. In Goffstown, New Hampshire, local artists have joined together to put art on the walls inside of existing businesses, and they pop up a temporary gallery inside of empty buildings when they come available. I got to talk to your students and they want a hunting store. So why not start a smaller version of it? Fishing lures, bait, kids poles. These things can be included in another store over in a corner. This could start as a business inside a business. Try it out in another store, see how it works. Or try ideas out with pop-ups. You've got a few empty buildings. What if you tried to fill them with entrepreneurs in town that are already selling things? When that works, you could divide the space up with several vendors. Of course, I'm going to share someone that's already doing it. Look inside your service businesses, your nonprofits, your museums, government buildings, any other place that are open to the public. If there's room for one shelf, you can turn that into another business trying their idea out. Now I want jam. These next ideas are more about your makers and crafters, your tiny manufacturers. So how many of your potential entrepreneurs have a garage-sized business idea, but don't have a usable garage of their own? Or they don't own a house, or they can't afford to buy a house just to get a garage to get started. Twisp, Washington, 1,500 people, converted a former forest ranger station into spaces for local businesses. This is it. It's the old equipment shed. They're slowly converting it into small shop spaces by adding the fronts. And these are rented to local craft entrepreneurs, including a blacksmith and a conservation birdhouse maker. Another idea to get more people making things and support that entrepreneurial mindset is a tool library. People can check out tools for woodworking, metalwork, sewing machines, even culinary tools and kitchen equipment. If you're able, add 3D printers or a desktop laser etching, or even compact machine tools. Any kind of tool you can think of. This is a good way to get it into the hands of more creative people in your community. And let me show you who's doing that. If you take those garage-sized spaces and outfit them with a tool library of donated equipment that people can share, that's a low-budget makerspace. And one makerspace like this is in Akron, Iowa. And it got started thanks to a group of retired people who drink coffee together each morning. The retired farmers moved into town. They put their woodworking tools in the garage, cluttered up the garage. And the wives said, get that stuff out of here. I want to put my car in the garage. Well, they got together and they moved their tools into an unused workspace in a dry basement in an empty building. and they call their workspace the Old Geezers Club. They work with the local shop teacher that helps students learn the craft of woodworking. It's also a great place for potential makers to try out the equipment without investing a ton of money into the project. Now you can boost creativity while building community with co-crafting events, and they're called crafternoons or hacker or maker days. From tech enthusiasts to crafters, scientists to garage tinkerers, these kind of events, novices and experts of all ages come together to show what they've made and share what they're learning. If no business comes out of it, you're still bringing people together and creating community and having a good time. An example of one kind of local artist you could be growing through your crafternoons and shared workspaces is Rose Williamson of the Crow Reservation in Montana. She's in the middle. She started her beaded jewelry business from her home, and she expanded into making clothes like what the girls are wearing in this picture. She sells her jewelry, clothing, and beadwork at pop-ups, events around the state, and online. Well, Rose is fairly well known. She gets a lot of event invitations, and she reaches out to other less well-known artists to come along with her and exhibit their art. So when you're looking for who would fill a shared art space or attend crafternoons or use your maker space, start by looking at who already is selling in booths or at events and even online. Those are your seed businesses, not to only fill the space, but also to support and inspire people who could make their art or hobby into a tiny business. Another way to fill your shared spaces and support more startups is to start with your student entrepreneurs. So one great youth entrepreneurship program happens in Norfolk County, Ontario. They have a summer project for kids in grades 6 through 12, and it's called the Student Startup Project, or SUP. Kids can apply for real money to start a real business. They submit a very simple explanation of what business they want to start, following a real elementary level business plan template. Over the years, Norfolk County has offered anywhere from $50 to $200 in startup grants to these kids, depending on how much funding they have available. Then the kids run their businesses all summer. And during the summer, Norfolk County holds a special marketplace event where the young entrepreneurs can feature their businesses in booths and displays. And we know the people in the county look forward to this event every year. At the end of the summer, kids can earn a small cash bonus by turning in a final report that looks like a simple profit and loss statement. What a great way to get your kids interested in starting a business by letting them do that. The next idea, this one brings your hidden businesses out with new opportunities to sell and network. Michelle Robles from Ohio helped put together a business showcase specifically for home-based and rural businesses that were unknown to most people, and they held it in an empty building downtown. Michelle told us the seed of the concept was a local business owner who needed a custom hose for a piece of equipment. He had to drive 17 miles to the closest city for them until he found out that a small business in the rural area just 2 miles away could make them cheaper. And he had no idea they were there. So the unexpected bonus, showcasing those hidden businesses, resulted in the creation of at least 2 new businesses in their county. We did this in my county in Iowa. Several communities, several of us decided we wanted more entrepreneurs. So we held an informal gathering called Entrebash. Round tables were set up so you could visit with experts personally, and only the ones you wanted to talk to, instead of having to listen to someone stand on a stage and talk to you and you had no interest. This young Hispanic couple you see in the photo is meeting with the Small Business Development Center, and they have since started their own greenhouse business. They bought a building in town, and now we have a greenhouse in town. They have a greenhouse in town, and they're doing quite well. And it all came out of Entrebash. This is Timberville, Virginia. Every year they set up a Christmas market in an empty field. And any business or home-based business can come set up for the holiday season. You could do a Christmas in July promotion and use tiny sheds or pop-up booths, or let the vendors bring their own form of tiny stores. They could show up with their trailers. It's an opportunity to try before you buy a business. If more people are going to buy locally, that means we need to find ways to fill our empty buildings and to entice shoppers to come downtown. Karen Anderson set up during a one-night holiday event and sold out her handmade scarves, hats, and gloves. And she tested her market, found out there was one. She tested her product and people loved it. She was set up in an empty building that was also for sale. Well, here's what she learned. She didn't want to do business full-time in a store like she thought she had. It was too heavy on the production end. She saved a ton of money by not investing in buying a new building, didn't she? And she still makes products and puts them in stores around town for sale. Win-win for everybody. Let's talk about events. Everybody loves a party, right? Well, now you can use your townwide events to create a stronger community, to fundraise, and to give people a chance to try out their ideas. Now, you're already doing burgers and brats in 3 of your towns that I know of. What if you added some other things to those events, at least once a month? And here's the secret to planning events. Don't do all the planning yourself. Reach out to your community and ask them what they want. When they give you an idea, put them in charge of the idea. When you plan it all out yourself, the only choice I have is to come or not. If you let me bring my own idea, I'm much more likely to come, invite all my friends, and enjoy the event. This was a 4-way tug of war contest that someone created for a downtown event in Webster City. Now, I was the chamber director in Webster City and responsible for planning this huge event in my town that went from, it was a 12-hour long day event. And there was no way I was going to figure out how to do entertainment for 12 hours. So I just called the town together and asked what they wanted to do. And I told them, okay, here's a spot for you. Go ahead and do it. This was human foosball that a local youth group suggested, and they built it. And everybody wanted to play human foosball. It was hysterical and just a really great time. Here's a fun one, bar stool races. Look at the crowd of all those people that attended. Again, not my idea, someone else's. We also quite enjoyed the nickel scramble. And that's just sawdust with nickels in it. It can be sponsored by a local bank and the kids love it. We had a business owner that loved racing and actually supported the local racers. We had a local track. He brought in a couple of favorite racers that are pretty well known, and they brought a lot of attention. More people came just to see the racers. Now, the young man with the ponytail in the center there came into my office and he wanted the chamber to make an event with local music. I said no, but I did tell him he could do it. And I would help if I could. Well, he brought together his musician friends, created an open mic too, because somebody suggested that idea, and a full night of entertainment happened. These kids created their own posters. They put them around town. They created the buzz for the event because it was really their event. And it was a lot of fun and lots of people came. You want more people in your communities? Start by talking about quality of life. Ben Winchester, a sociologist from the University of Minnesota, shared these stats with me. You do have newcomers in town. They are coming home for quality of life. So let's take a look at the issues that involve quality of life as ways to attract new people and address some of them. In Bennettsville, South Carolina, they held a newcomer meeting pretty regularly. And it was a brilliant idea. They had their realtors personally invite people that had either bought houses or rented houses from them. So they did personal invitations to the gathering. And those visitors, those new homeowners, were given the opportunity to ask questions of representatives from the city and the county. And I was actually at this one. Many of these people had ideas of how to better their community, and they were already doing some things with their neighbors. But several wanted opportunities to be involved and volunteer. And they showed up to tell the community about that. I think it's a brilliant idea. Start your own newcomer meetings, either by city or maybe by county. So how do you get more young families? Well, you recruit them, go to the colleges in the state and be a part of job fairs there, but be different. You want the most interactive booth there. If you make widgets, get in front of engineering students, give them something to put in their hands and ask questions about. And work together before you go to know your intangible benefits in your community, like recreation, like lower cost of living, like more safety. Those are all intangibles, and you can promote those. And if you're working on housing ideas, talk about that too. Now, don't forget your local students. Go to the local schools and tell them what you do. Bring kids on tours, bring them to your businesses, to your locations, hire them as interns and pay them. Don't make them guess what kind of work you do. Let them see it and perhaps try it. Don't assume they know what's in their towns, because they really don't. Leave the committee of negativity alone. They're not going to help you anyway. Start by talking to people like you who want to save your towns. You'll hear lots of ideas and you want to encourage all the ideas. So what if one or two fail? It's just a test of what works and what doesn't. Carry your positive attitude forward and don't be dismayed. Now, this is Swift Falls, and the people there decided they want the cattails gone, the dam fixed, and there was no need for a rock dam. Keep the dam they have. When I was there having coffee, the lady sitting next to me pulled me aside and said, you know, we went up north and visited my daughter-in-law, and they have a rock dam there. She pulled her phone out, showed us pictures of it. Turns out it's beautiful, and it would work just fine in Swift Falls. Now the conversation turned. The guys in the room got excited to explore this concept, because at an earlier meeting, this lady was pretty adamant about keeping the old dam. But once she visited a rock dam, she could see how this might work. So there's a clue for all of you. Don't always hold your meetings in a stuffy old building. Go look at the things you might want to do or have. Visit your neighbors or other small towns and see what they have. Give everybody a chance to participate in a small but meaningful way, from your students to your seniors. The more opportunity people have to be a part of the action, the more people see how great your small towns are. And you don't need them to serve on 3-year committees. You want them to participate in any way they can, big or small. So why couldn't your county residents cut out paper snowflakes, and some folks could put them inside every empty building in town? Do it in July. Ask your people what fun winter activities you can promote. And don't stop there. Take a ton of pictures, post them everywhere, write a press release, send it to your paper in the state, make it a big deal. This costs nothing to cut out snowflakes. And there will be people that will step up and say, we can put those in the empty building windows, either inside or outside. It's just paper. The top part of this building is empty, and it needs lots and lots of work. The old windows were boarded up with plywood and frankly just looked awful. The community vitality director found a program involving students at the University of Iowa, and they created this idea. They took large pieces of wood and drew paint by numbers on them, took those boards out to the state fair or the local fairgrounds, county fairgrounds, for a week, and anybody in town could go out and paint by numbers. And this is what they ended up with. Each one of these pieces represent important people and things in their town. And for me, what's most attractive is the bright colors that they used. It's historical, but it looks different because of the bright colors. And now people travel from all over just to see this artwork. Amanda told us at the wrap-up meeting, they're working with the 4-H group to paint a mural on the side of Tom's building. It's the one behind the fire station. So here's the thing, it's just paint. If it's awful, paint over it. Meanwhile, involve your kids in creating art in the towns they live in. You can look to Keep America Beautiful. All the paint companies offer grant funding, or you can simply crowdsource the funding. It's just paint. It's not very expensive. So there are empty buildings that need something in the windows, right? Well, this is an advertisement for Bennettsville 200-year anniversary, but you can put artwork, murals, signage, all kinds of ideas. Now you're starting to notice how important beautifying your community matters to quality of life. It really does. I wanted to share this with you. It's from Pierce County, Nebraska, and they've added these ideas to their daycare protocols. 7,200 population in the entire county, and they still have a daycare problem. And these are some great ideas. They've got some companies that have second shift, and they're encouraging them to provide on-site. Many grants, up to $2,000 to get new daycare businesses started. They're working with their area churches to offer programs. You know, they have classrooms and kitchens and large fellowship halls that are only used on Sunday, Wednesday, or for funerals. And they're looking to utilize investment or economic development groups to purchase a home or building, offer that low rent lease to incubate a new daycare owner for 1 to 3 years in the process. Stop requiring volunteers to commit to a year-long committee or longer. These are your people, by the way. Ask for volunteers to step up for a 2-hour shift, and you're going to get more help. Listen to their ideas and let them try it out. Involve students, and don't just make them be responsible for the garbage. What else can you have them do? And then reward your volunteers. Say good things about them. Take pictures, post that kind of stuff around, write a press release. Now, these are the pillars of the community. That's what they call themselves. And we talked about creating a need advice booth at the next event in Clontarf. They're going to have fun doing it. And maybe even some of it might be good advice. Can you not see the booth and folks giving out advice about everything? How much fun would that be? Hang string lights or put out solar lights. There is not a space in the world that can't be made better with some string lights. Put them in your pocket parks, on trees, on fences, even over outdoor patios. This is in Iowa City, Iowa, and they've added it at an outdoor patio. I thought it would be kind of fun at Christmas time. They could put a Christmas tree out there. Be fun. Try some temporary things that don't cost a whole lot of money, and chalk is one of them. It's easy to wash off. Go ahead and try it. You could have a chalk contest on your sidewalks one day and party in the evening. Do it before burgers and brats. Now, in any organization you're a part of, give smaller grant amounts. So instead of a $1,000 grant, give 10 $100 grants. Your budget's tight, we know that. So this is a perfect time to support those promising tiny ideas. And if you can't grant money, print certificates and give public recognition. We all want that. This photo is the Young Entrepreneur of the Year in Norfolk County, Ontario. Now, we know you are resourceful people who take action because frankly, you're here. But you'll talk to some people who say they just don't have time for all of this. Well, that's great. They can donate money. Dickinson, North Dakota has a group of 300 people who donate $100 a quarter to be used to better the community. Then the majority in attendance decide on who to donate to. Spearfish, South Dakota have 100 women who donate $100 for similar crowdfunding projects. Luling, Texas Chamber of Commerce invited people to bring just $20. Then they all shop together at a local business. That's called a cash mob, and it is a great way to support a local business. Katie Kasian told us that she has a group of friends in rural North Dakota who each give $5. Then they use the group money to support local businesses. They've helped a craft shop purchase an initial round of yarns, and they've helped Stag Valley Homestead purchase some greenhouse items. This was taken in Van Buren County, Iowa, the only county without a stoplight. And what they've done, you could paint or set up something that people want to take a picture with. And that's my friend Carrie and her grandson. Yes, we stopped. And you can paint or chalk on blank walls as well if you want to. But for something a little more durable than chalk and less permanent than paint, paint selfie backdrops on either fabric or cardboard or wood or anything you can find that's left over, and bring them out for special occasions. You want people to use hashtags in your county? Well, put them where they can see them, post them. You will get more people to help promote your community. When I visited Paulding, Ohio, there was a big sign painted on the wall of an empty building, and you can see part of it there. It was advertising a business that was no longer there, and the building owner lived in China. Well, before I left, we covered that old sign by painting their favorite hashtag promoting the town. And no, we did not ask for permission. Lots of people honked and cheered when they drove by, including the county sheriff. He figured we were okay. This was a great way to make more locals aware of the My Paulding hashtag. Pretty easy to do. In my old town, the mayor held a town cleanup weekend. And it was a little different. People actually brought their old things in garbage and no longer wanted items to a central location at the middle school for recycling or proper disposal. And they had volunteers there that helped unload the cars and trucks. So the mayor watched for any paint that was turned in that looked like it might still be good, and he set that to the side. That paint was later used in the Paint the Street project. For one day, the street was closed, and each business that wanted to would pay $50 to paint any design they wanted in one section. Those funds raised went to support another arts event. Each year, they paint over the designs with white paint and start again. And the mayor was able to kick this off by building connections to get that usable paint at no cost. They made money with that project. A lot of these ideas are about livability. If you don't have excitement, beauty, and a joyful atmosphere, any work you do to create economic development is frankly going to be fruitless and wasted time. Start small, get people excited and involved, and make your town the place people talk about. That strength of interested people talking to each other becomes even more powerful when people do projects together. They take ownership of the project and look forward to doing more. Communities being created. And no matter how small of a step you take, you feel ownership for the project you work on. The idea-friendly way makes room for everyone to participate by taking small steps, trying and testing ideas, enjoying the participation and ownership of many people, and creating your community. Now that's economic development. I want to thank you for inviting me into your towns and visiting with your folks. Here is a free video if you'd like to watch it about the idea-friendly method. Gather your crowd, build connections, and take small steps. We tell you how to do it, and it will help you get started on easily achieving those things you want. Now you can get the PDF version of this presentation and all the speaking that I did from Leanna or Sarah. And let's look at the breakdown of some of the things. There's the links too of stuff you want to look at. And some of the things from your communities. Let me make you small so we can look at it. Here's Appleton, housing, business and people. Pretty standard, right? Let's see, Benson, when they talk about city, they meant the people that said that, I entitled it city, where they address infrastructure, utility, and natural energy. So you know what I mean by city. Housing again and people. Clontorf, recreation, beautify, and then buildings and businesses came in hand. Danvers, buildings, community, events and beautify, and housing, which I didn't add to this list, but it was right up there too. And I love that cat. DeGraff, buildings, recreation and business, and they had housing issues as well. And that's where the jam and jelly was at that store. Holloway, recreation, took a big leap. Building and business. Kirkhoven, wow, Kirkhoven and Appleton got the same picture. My apologies, Appleton, that wasn't correct. Businesses, housing, and recreation. Murdoch, housing, beautify, beautification, and business and recreation. That's a beautiful old historic building. I hope something can be done with it. Swift Falls, recreation, way ahead of everything, and then business and buildings. I did have the opportunity to visit the Riverview Dairy. That was eye-opening. And they talked about housing and culture. And your students in Kirkhoven, recreation, in Benson, recreation, and Appleton was a little different. They led with businesses. Pretty interesting visiting with your kids. And that's the end of that. Let me make you big so I can see you guys again. If you have a comment or you'd like to share something, take yourself off of mute and let's visit. Oh, Sarah, I know you have something to say.
What were you thinking?
So what did you were on all the visits with me, you and Leanna. What
Yes.
attracted you? What things did you think about?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the takeaway, I guess you could say, would be the excitement we saw from some of the community members. You know, when we were doing the planning process for this, we talked about what do we expect? We don't know, because you know, we're new to this, just as much as the communities are. So it was kind of a, what are we going to get for results? And of course, you get what you put into it. So now, having said that, it was really exciting to see the different community members, whether they're city council or mayor or representative of the community resident. It was exciting to see the excitement that we walked away with. You know, some different communities, you know, Danvers, for example, everyone was so focused on the community center, which is great. And now they're having a breakfast as a part of that to get more energetic and get more ideas and ultimately some more fundraising going with that project. So it's fun to see that get that recharge. Everyone kind of has the idea of, you know, we want to make our community better. How can we do it? I don't know. And it gets dropped. So now to have these ideas, and some of them are very, you know, no offense, but very basic and very simple. You don't need to have these big projects or big schemes of how you're going to implement something. So it's exciting to see now some of these little things that we can do as a result of your visit. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to give a shout out to Eric sitting there beside you. And I want all of you to encourage Eric to write his book called How to Live in a Small Town. I think, Eric, you could crowdsource that book and just ask for information from everybody in the county. And next thing you know, you have a good ebook.
We'll see what we can do.
Ask me if you want my input. I'd be happy to send you some.
You got to try Klube first.
Oh, so Klube. I've never had Klube, and I'm going to have to come back to enjoy Klube. They sent me a picture of some fried Klube at a pancake breakfast. Now that looks good. I don't know about it the other way, but that fried Klube looked really good. Did you like it, Eric?
Oh, absolutely. The nice thing about fried Klube is some of the extra butter is already added while they fry it, so you don't have to add quite as much yourself.
Indeed, indeed. Kevin, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. Tell folks on the wire who you are and what you do and what you took out of the visit, because you attended quite a few of them too.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Kettleson. I'm with the Upper Minnesota Valley Regional Development Commission. I'm a community development specialist there. And yeah, I attended the tours in Benson and Appleton. And I've been in my position now for about a year. And just the touring the various stops along the trip was real helpful for me just to see, firsthand what's going on. And I was impressed with the childcare facility in Benson. The high school is just beautiful. The auditorium is, I mean, for a town that size was just awesome. What an asset. In Appleton, the Pioneer Building, we stopped it there, and very unique space and a lot of potential there. The 52 wing was, coming along good. It'll be a great space someday too, with the library and the gym space and some other, vacant classrooms in there. And then the town hall meeting was good. I thought they had a great turnout. And it seemed like housing was the big issue of the night, which you touched on with your presentation. So, just like I said, just going around on the tour was helpful for me, and looking for ways that we can be involved. And I encourage all the communities, if you have ideas and if there's a way that we can help out, please reach out to us. We'd love to be involved.
Excellent. And Joanne, it's Joanne, right? Or it's Joanne.
Yes.
So I picked on Joanne a little bit when I was in Holloway, and I don't mean to pick on you. I will share with everybody here. I'm so thrilled at the work that you've done in your community. You guys are doing great work, and thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that some of those grant ideas, and they really want exercise equipment of some sort in Holloway. And I hope you can get some buy-in into that. That's such a great thing to do. So thank you for coming today too.
Thank you. I actually tried looking for some grant stuff, and interesting some of the stuff I came up with, and I visited with Sarah.
Excellent.
Not all those things are legitimate out there.
Yeah, well, there is that. Yes.
They're-
So this is
They're
where,
asking for a fee to get their grant list.
oh, no, don't spend that money. That's for
No.
sure. And just an idea, take a look around at communities within 100 miles that already have adult outdoor exercise equipment, and go visit with them. Take a group of people in a car and go visit with them and find out how they did it. Gets
Yes.
everybody with you excited too.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Leanna, let's wrap it up with you. Are they there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Hi,
Deb.
guys.
I just want to say thank you. We were so impressed with how the week went. Everything went very smoothly, and it was really exciting to hear just how invested everyone is in their communities. So I hope that this will lead to lots of new projects and different ideas and people coming together. We've got some good next steps already started, and hopefully after this we'll meet with our boards, of course, and kind of talk through more things and come up with even more action items that we can work on next. So yeah, thank you
Excellent.
so much.
And I'll close with Swift County. These guys are members of SaveYour.Town, and they have access to all of our videos. So if you want a listing of those videos, reach out to them, because they can share them with you and you can watch them. And it's depending on what topic you want, you can watch the video much in a watch party like you've done here today with your own communities. I want to thank you very much for having me. Now go out and build community.
Before we wrap up, 1 second, sorry. I just want to end with this. Now, I'm not originally from Swift County, unfortunately. So as a touree of all 9 cities and the county as a whole, I just want to say how much I learned. So part of that is thank you for bringing this tour to us. But more importantly, I want to make sure that each of the community knows how much you have in your community. That isn't known about necessarily. You think you know about it, and you do, but your neighbors to the next city or township or whatever don't. So really, we have all these other ideas you want to do, but don't forget about what you already have and what you have to offer, because I think there's a lot there that maybe the neighboring communities don't know about. So really don't forget about those things as you're working on the new things. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the day. Thank you again.